boys and girls, brothers and sisters in the Dharma, Buddhist Sunday school students, students of Dhamma classes, parents and grandparents, and teachers of Buddhist Sunday school and Dhamma classes. May you all be well, happy, and peaceful. We are going to have a presentation titled Lessons of Wisdom for the Young and Old. Now, this is a very important presentation because it teaches very important life lessons to help you to live more peacefully and happily. The texts are in English and in Bahasa Malaysia or Malay, whereas the narration and explanation will be in English. Now, as usual, we are going to have a presentation and we go over one by one of the slides that contain very important lessons of wisdom. Now, before we launch the PowerPoint, let me check the setup to make sure that it is correct. Okay. And now we will have the presentation by launching the PowerPoint. You can see the cover slide. And as I said just now, the title is Lessons of Wisdom for the Young and Old. Now, the very important word is wisdom. Now, what actually is wisdom? Wisdom is not just being very clever or being very intelligent, can score high grades, can go to the universities and then become even a professor. That is cleverness, intelligence. But wisdom is different. A person may be just an ordinary hawker, but he has wisdom. Whereas a person who has gone to the university may act foolishly also. Now, wisdom, you can say, is a very spiritual quality of the mind where the person is able to discern. To discern means to find out what are the things that should be done and what are the things that should not be done. What is righteous and what is wrong, what is unwholesome. And he lives a life of morality, he's peaceful, and he can cope with the problems of life much better because he has wisdom, right? So you see, wisdom is a very important spiritual quality in Buddhism and all other religions. If we don't have wisdom, we will do foolish things and then regret later. And we cannot handle many problems or trouble in life. And then you find you will suffer the dukkha, right? So that gives you a brief idea of what wisdom is. Now, let us now go on to the next slide. The next slide here. Now, this is slide number 2, right, which goes to the first lesson. When the mind is calm, clear, and steady, one is more peaceful, free, and happy. Yes, the most important thing actually is the mind. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, mind is the forerunner of all things, right? All things start with the mind. So if your mind is not trained or developed, then you find it gets into states of suffering very easily. And these 3 things are important: to have a calm mind, not to be excited easily, agitated, getting angry very easily, or a very restless mind. That one is not good because such a mind with the states I mentioned, negative states, will bring a lot of dukkha. So likewise also when the mind is trained, it is very clean and clear. You can see things more clearly and it doesn't go up and down according to the happenings, right? So always being agitated. So if you develop these three qualities, then you will be more peaceful, free, and happy. Now, you see, in life we have so many situations, isn't it? We have the 8 worldly winds. There will be times where you have pain, sorrow, or suffering. Other times when you may find happiness, pleasure. There are times where you can get blame also. There are times where you lose things. And there are times where you become unpopular already, or you don't have any fame. But the mind that is calm, clear, and steady, he can still maintain that peaceful state, right? So because he has wisdom actually, right? So this is a very important life lesson. Now let us go on to the next one. This is slide number 3 now. Like the body, the mind needs exercise. Think and reflect mindfully to be wise. Now let us look at this thing about exercise. Now I think you know that the body requires exercise to be healthy, isn't it? You can see the picture here. Now, what about the mind? The mind, you can't do the exercise the body does, isn't it? A lot of movements, right? But when you exercise the mind, it is not like the body where there is movement. You find the mind will be in a more still state, a more steady and calm state, and then it can think better. You can reflect things. This way, then your mind becomes stronger. So which means that to exercise the mind, you have to use the mind in a wise manner, like, for example, making the mind calm, steady, stable, and then to think about the Dhamma and reflect it mindfully. This way, the mind is developing and growing. Now, you see, there is a proverb in English that says, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So what it means is this: a person that has a mind that does not have proper training or exercise by thinking and reflecting the right direction, he is always idle in his mind, or worse still, thinking the wrong things. That is not exercise. That is putting a lot of rubbish, defilements into the mind. And then what happens is the forces of evil will take over your mind, like greed, hatred, delusion developing in the mind. So that is a terrible thing, isn't it? So when we say exercise the mind, is to make it strong, stable, calm. And then the other thing is to be able to think logically, creatively, divergently. Then there are things that you have to really do, like for example, you solve puzzles and you think out problems, and you have a good hobby, like for example, playing chess or Scrabble or any of those mental games to work the brain, because the brain is connected to the mind. So you find that some people, as they age, then the mind becomes weak. They can get into a sickness, ailment called dementia. They begin to lose the memory and to think in very foolish ways, and after that to act out, the thoughts. That, you see, shows that the mind, once it is not calm, steady, and functioning properly, then a lot of problems can come, isn't it? Like dementia. So to keep the mind working. And then also there are times where you have to meditate. that is a very, very good thing. The mind gets that exercise through the meditation also, when the mind is being still, is being concentrated and focused. So these are the ways where you can exercise the mind, all right? And then also in our ordinary life, we have always to watch the mind, right? To be alert, attentive, mindful. All these things are exercising the mind in a good way, right? So that is this slide, which is slide number 3 already. Now let us now go on to the next one. Oh, it has gone on to number 6 already. So let us move backwards. Now we come back to 4. Now, wise words are great food for the mind. They bring thoughts of the wholesome kind. Now, this is a very important thing. Of course, the wisest words will be the words of the enlightened one, the Buddha, and also some other enlightened ones that really have got perfect wisdom ready, right? The minds are perfect. So when we read their sayings or their teachings, like for example, the Buddha, in so many of the scriptural books like Dhammapada, one of them, so there are many, many great words of wisdom. So when we constantly read these words of wisdom, think about them, reflect on them, and then put them into practice, then this serves as great food for the mind. You don't eat the food. It's not meant that way. Is that you are making the mind strong and you are developing the mind. So this way your mind can handle things better. It has better states, more happy states and peaceful states. And then you find that because wisdom is arising and you have the right view of things, then your thinking also will be of the right kind. You have thoughts of goodness, thoughts of metta, for example, right? Thoughts of dana, which means giving, helping, charity, and thoughts of loving kindness, thoughts of non-cruelty. So all the good thoughts will arise because your wisdom is arising. And one of the ways is actually to read or to hear the words of wisdom from the enlightened ones especially. But also you have also many other sources like Proverbs, right? And then motivational books, inspirational books that give you very great words of wisdom. Like you see, one example, never give up because great things take time. And that is a fantastic saying, isn't it? That you have to be patient and be persistent. Everything takes time, you see. That is good advice. That's what we mean. So you develop such good qualities of the mind. So that is slide number 4. So now let us go on to slide number 5. So this slide number 5, it says, when the mind is confident and strong, there are fewer things that will go wrong. That is very true. Now, why is it that some people, always, have problems of the mind, like having anxiety, worry, and then depression even? Because the mind lacks the strength. He doesn't have the confidence in himself. He doesn't have that confidence. So lack of confidence also, you see, can make life very difficult for a person, isn't it? So when the person is not confident, the mind is not confident, and it is weak. Weak means it cannot understand things clearly and see things clearly, and it does the wrong things. So the weak mind, right? Then you find that he gets into accidents, all right? And then he does the things with lots of mistakes, right? Why? Because the mind is not developed and trained. The mind is not good. So, like for example, you can say a person that is very weak in the mind is always worried and fearful. Right? He sees something and say, "Oh, it is a ghost," and gets himself so frightened and fearful. But it is not the ghost actually, right? It is that something else that can be explained by science, isn't it? So they are superstitious. Superstitious mind is a weak mind, right? So when the person is superstitious, a lot of problems. And then certain things happen, the fellow get worried already. So when the mind is anxious, worried, troubled, depressed, can it function well? It cannot, isn't it? So you can imagine a person working in a factory or a company, and the mind is always full of negative thinking. He is always anxious, very fearful of things, and always the mind going to the past, or speculating about the future. It's not in the present, so the mind is not strong really. Then what happens? He makes more mistakes in his work, and then he is not efficient because the mind is weak. It doesn't have the good qualities of presence of mind, mindfulness, concentration, all those stuff. So that is very important for you to consider. Very important is to train the mind. So that is slide number 5 already. Actually, we need to have a strong mind. I see that of the various students I have taught, so many hundreds or more than a few thousands already. The ones that do well have strong minds. They can concentrate well. They are patient and they are persistent. All the good qualities, and they are confident also. If a person is not confident, we say, "I cannot one, very difficult." Then the mind can't think well. And then things will go wrong. So that you can see how important it is to have a strong mind. Now let us go on to number 6 now. Now slide number 6. It says, when one has the right view of everything, then there is little mental suffering. Now, in the Buddhist way, one of the most important things is to develop the right view. With the right view, right attitude, right thinking, all those, then you find you can cope with better, dukkha better. There will be less suffering in the mind. Now, you see, if you have studied the Dhamma, the most important part we need to take, right, in our life, the goal to reach freedom from all the suffering. That part, the only part which is the most important part, is called the Noble Eightfold Path. And the Noble Eightfold Path starts off with right understanding, or also sometimes known as right view, samadhi. Now, samadhi in the noble way is an understanding of the Four Noble Truths, that there is unsatisfactoriness or dukkha, suffering, and there is the cause. You understand, you can see the cause, and then the end of suffering and the way leading to it. Now, that's the Four Noble Truths, the Four Noble Truths. So if you have understanding of this, then definitely you will have less and less dukkha in the mind. And if the person has perfect right view already, right, then it actually is being led into enlightenment already. You have right view. What happens next is then you have right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right. You put down as meditation, but usually we put as right concentration. So all the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path are developed, and if you practice this way, you will become enlightened. Whereas ordinary way of seeing things, right view, you can say you can see things more clearly, you understand things as they really are and not what you have learned from the wrong sources and have become superstitious or fearful, right? Or believing some cult leaders, then you have the wrong attitude. Now, some, for example, they have the wrong view. They think that when you die, nothing is left. They don't believe in karma. They don't believe that there is a rebirth. After that, there is still rebirth. So they can do very foolish things. And when they do the unwholesome things, like killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, taking liquor, wrong speech, all those things will generate the unwholesome results, the suffering in this life and also in future lives. So you see, you are having the wrong view, you see, that, everything is due to chance, right? It doesn't matter because after we die, nothing is left. So it's a wrong view of things, so you can get into real serious trouble and face dukkha in present life as well as future lives. So that is slide number 6 now. Number 6. Now we go on to number 7. This is slide number 7. When you have had a very busy time, good relaxation can recharge your mind. Now today you see so many people are so busy chasing after the vitamin M. You know what is vitamin M? It's money. Day in, day out, 7 days a week, they will be busy with their work. Not only one job, some 2 jobs or so. Right? So very, very busy time. Most of the time is spent on working to get more and more money. Of course, you need to work to get money to support your family, right? To use the money in proper ways and so on. But today, you find people forget that when you have just work and no time for relaxation, then it can get you into lots of problems. Health problems, for example, right? And then also the mind becomes weak, actually is stressed out already. That's why today you have more and more cases of stress-related illnesses, more and more cases of depression also. And then more and more cases of heart attacks, more and more cases of strokes, and all those things are related in the way to the mind. So the mind can be so stressed out with so much work, and there is no time for relaxation. So you can see how important it is to have good relaxation. But good relaxation doesn't mean that you go and play all those violent games on your game set or your iPad or your smartphone. Very, very exciting. Or listening to all those hot music and so on. Or taking liquor or smoking. That is the wrong way to relax the mind and the body. In fact, you can fall into greater problems and you use the wrong ways for relaxation. Good relaxation, good hobbies you can do like Tai Chi, yoga, right? Or Xiang Gong. Or some people will just have relaxation time to read a book, to listen to some soft music, or to do some painting. So many, many good things that you can do to relax and recharge the mind. And of course, one very good way is meditation. You can meditate, and there are many benefits a person can get from meditation. The research has shown already the benefits of meditation are tremendous, are very big. I have talked about this in the presentation on Metta Bhavana, presentation on loving kindness meditation, the benefits, the 11 benefits a person can get if he practices this, and then the methods and so on. You can check the YouTube or even the slide share, you can find the presentation. So if you don't recharge your mind, then you find the mind becomes overloaded, especially today, You find with WhatsApp lah, YouTube lah, Facebook and whatnot, people are overtaxing the mind and filling the mind with a lot of rubbish. Right? So many types sometimes are not useful, and then fake messages in the WhatsApp and always non-stop all those entertainment programs. I'm not saying you cannot look at the entertainment program. I'm saying that you are overcharging the mind already. No time for it to relax and be still, and not just to feast your eyes and hear all those things from your smartphone and so on until you really get tired. So some will have psychological problems if they use the smartphone in the foolish ways. Of course, the smartphone is a very useful thing, but you must know how to use it wisely and when to relax the mind to keep away from all these devices, go into more natural things like even gardening or going for a walk, jogging, all these things will help the mind tremendously. So now let us go on to slide number 8 now. Now, when we are calm, virtuous, kind, and wise, we are happy in mental paradise. Now, just now we mentioned calmness already. So now let us touch on the other 3 things. Virtuous. Now, virtuous means to have morality, not to commit wrong things, to do immoral things. And kindness, right? Better still is metta, loving kindness. To help somebody, to do dana, to serve other people in need, to render help. All these are, like this case you see, are being very kind to other people. It's connected in a way to morality. A person that is virtuous will be more kind compared to a person that doesn't practice morality. He always thinks of himself only. Then he doesn't have virtue. And once you don't have morality and kindness, very difficult for the mind to be developed in terms of wisdom. So wisdom does not come. So if you don't have all these things of virtue, loving kindness and wisdom and calmness, you will be in a mental hell, which means that you will suffer lots of mental problems, trouble, suffering, misery. Whereas the opposite, if you develop that calmness, that concentration, that mindfulness, and you practice all the rules of morality, like you have to keep the 5 precepts, right? And then always practice kind acts. The kind acts in terms of what you speak and also what you do with your body. And then you have good methods of like meditation and then listening to the Dhamma to develop the wisdom. Then you find you don't have to wait until you pass away, then you go to heaven, all this. Right now itself, and also in future lives, you are creating a mental heaven, a heaven that you experience in the mind. Just like in a dream, when you have a paradise in a dream, you don't know you are dreaming actually. You think that it's real, isn't it? So you imagine you are developing that sort of a mental state. Now let us go on to slide number 9. Now slide number 9 talks about patience. That is slide number 9. And it says that patience is a great virtue indeed. Today, patience is truly in need. Today, you find so many people, especially the younger ones, impatient. They're restless. They cannot sit still maybe to read a book. They find the reading rate has gone down. They have no patience in doing a project or doing something constructive. Halfway they get restless already, get bored already, right? And then they give up. So you find that this is happening all over. You can see it on the roads, in the traffic that you see on the roads, people driving recklessly, beating traffic lights, turning in the wrong turns, giving a wrong signal, all sorts of things because they want to rush, especially the beating traffic lights. I remember in Sunday school, I asked one of the standard 3 students, If you are with your daddy and you come into the traffic lights, nearing the traffic lights, and the traffic lights, after green already, then the green will go off already. So we go orange already, or maybe orange, then you can go to red already, isn't it? So actually orange you must slow down already. Don't have the person say 我告诉我的爸爸快点啦，快点啦，要红色哦，要红色，so I trying to beat the traffic lights. That is dangerous. No patience. So be patient and wait patiently for things. Even in the Dhamma practice, you have no patience. Many people don't have patience to practice meditation or to listen to a good talk to improve their wisdom or to read a good Dhamma book, right? So that they can gain a lot of life lessons and wise things to help their lives. How many people have the patience? They are more interested in maybe shopping. Shopping, you can go from one area to another area, window shopping, right? Everything moving very fast. Or you play all those fast moving games in the iPad, or now also you find in many of the websites in the internet, you can play all those games. So they become very impatient. So that's why you find many people develop high blood pressure or other types of illnesses, because the mind is not in a good state, and impatience, restlessness, and then getting angry easily, which is also connected with patience. This is harmful. So all these animated images show the importance of patience. Now we go on to slide number 10. Now we have slide number 10. It says, peace develops. This is the 9th point, but slide number 10 because you have the cover slide. Peace develops with less expectation. Now let's look at this very important life lesson to develop wisdom. Now, if we always expect to have this, expect to have that, then you find many times your expectations do not come true, isn't it? You wish for a certain thing and you want that thing and not enough work to get that thing, right? So always expecting, I hope this girl will come and visit me lah. I expect to get all A's in my examination. I expect my parents to give me a big prize when I get how many A's. All these expectations will cause the mind to be suffering, not peaceful. Whereas the correct practice is, I do my best, right? I'll be at the present moment awareness. Today I do what I can. I do not expect things. When I help a person also, I don't expect anything. I just know it's a good thing, a good practice of dana. I don't expect. That is a correct attitude, right? Today, of course, many people may not be grateful, but it doesn't stop you from being great, from being generous or doing charity again. So if you have less expectation, then you will be more peaceful. Then the other point is be present, be aware, pay attention. Now, that is mindfulness. That is to always place the mind at the present moment, what we are doing. And the mind is alert, to be aware, to be attentive, paying attention to what is happening. So when you train the mind this way, right, that it doesn't run like a monkey all over. So when it runs like a monkey all over, it goes to the past and then feels sorry about what he did last time, 10 years ago, or he goes to the future, he say, I don't know, next time I can go to the university to do this course, engineering or medicine or not. So the mind is running this way like a monkey, not doing what you ought to do now, today. Then how can you be peaceful? You cannot. When you focus on today, the present moment, and you are alert to all the things that are happening, you pay attention to what you are doing, then you find a state of peacefulness develops in the mind. That is an important teaching. Now you see these people, you can see the animated clip. Instead of paying attention, be present. What are they doing? Playing on the smartphones, games usually. And you see, always changing and fast moving, all will generate the impatience and the restlessness. And that makes the mind weak. Cannot handle problems later on, as you can see that many cases of suicide even among the young. All these because the mind is not being trained to be patient, to be calm, to be steady, to be concentrated, to be focused, to be with the moment, to be aware. All those not being trained. So the teachers are talking to the wall, maybe one or two paying attention only. Now, anyway, let us go on to slide number 11. Now, when our sense faculties are used wisely, there will be more peace and harmony. Now, what do you mean by sense faculties? Actually, in the Buddhist way, we have 6 sense bases. The eye seeing, the ears hearing, the nose smelling, and then the tongue tasting, the bodies are touching, and the mind thinking. Now, if you don't use these sense faculties, right, you can say the sense organs if you wish. If you don't use wisely, then you will be courting trouble and suffering. There will be a loss of your peace and harmony, the peace in your mind. There will be a loss of it. Like, for example, a person that does not use the faculty of the eyes, right, in a wise way, like, he sees things, always wanting, goes to the supermarket, he wants this toy, he wants that toy, he wants this dress, he wants that dress, he wants this pair of shoes, and so on. So he doesn't get it, he suffers. Or a person, overeating, very nice food, right? You eat and become obese, very fat. You can see many children, like in China, are very fat. That is not using your sense faculty in a wise way, overeating. Or you find that you want comfort, you're not satisfied with the bed you have, you want to have a water bed, you cannot get it, you quarrel with your parents and all those things, or your mind thinking some wrong things that are in the mind that will lead to craving, wanting, attaching. This will bring dukkha. Whereas you know how to use your senses in a wise way, right? Then your mind will be more peaceful. You don't overeat. You don't hear all the nonsense things. And then also you don't go and use your body in wrong ways, like stealing, killing, fighting, all those things, the wrong ways of using the senses. And you always think wholesome things, there will be peace and harmony. So that is slide number 11, which is point number 10 actually. Now let us go on to the slide number 12 now. Now, open the door of your heart, watch your mind. You will then have much love and peace of mind. Wow, something that is sublime is excellent, very noble, very lofty, very high level of sublime happiness or sublime peace, very high level, noble, excellent. All those things can describe that type of peace. So how to get that type of peace? How to get that love, everything? Now, it says that you must open the door of your heart. It doesn't mean you go and do a surgery. I think for those of you who have read the book by Ajahn Brahma, Opening the Door of Your Heart, that's a very, very good book, right? Basically, it means that good quality being developed of metta. Right? Here, in this case, you can also say develop the metta, the loving kindness and the compassion, that care, concern for other people, not selfish, just thinking of themselves, that you are always willing to help, to serve, and to donate, and all those to help to relieve the suffering of the needy or the unfortunate ones. And that is a fantastic practice. All religions teach that. Dana, charity, service, outreach work, reach out. But today, it's sad to say, more and more people seem to be thinking more and more times of themselves. They say selfish, or Hokkien say 主书. You ask them to go and serve, they find they are not willing if there's no money involved. And we can see that even happening in our Buddhist association. I've mentioned many times that the library, those years, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, or 20 years ago, we could run the community library with so many students, 60 students volunteering to be librarians. 6-7 days a week, the library will be open, right? Afternoon, night, Sunday afternoon, Saturday afternoon. Then for the other days, afternoon and nights. So you find that the door of the hearts are open with the spirit of dana, of service. Now today we can't even get one. We get to have an adult, right, with an allowance paid. So you see, why? They say they have no time, busy. Actually, some will say busy with the tuition, but actually a lot of time being spent now on the social media, chit chat, smartphones, and then YouTube, Facebook, and all those things. So the door of the heart is being shut. So when the door of the heart is being shut, they don't have the spirit of helping and dana, then problems of the mind will develop and they will not be truly happy. They think they are very happy playing all those exciting games. They get some pleasure or some fun for a temporary period. But on the long run, you see, they will develop these states of meaninglessness, the states of depression coming in. And psychiatrists have talked about this also. And the other thing is to be able to watch the mind very carefully. Right? That's a factor in the Noble Eightfold Path, right effort, right effort. Now, in the right effort or sama vayama, that means to always watch the mind to make sure you don't have unwholesome things entering the mind, and to see that the mind, if unwholesome things arise, then you have to read them to eradicate them already. That means unwholesome things chase away from the mind. And then don't allow these unwholesome things to enter the mind. Wholesome things like kindness, helpfulness, dana, and all those things, if they have not entered in your mind yet, or not much yet, then you should invite and let them come into the mind to grow in the spirit of dana, right? Helpfulness, kindness, all this. And that's some already there already. Make sure you maintain that. So if you practice this way, definitely love, peace, happiness will grow in the mind. And wisdom also. Compassion, wisdom, they go together. Now, let us go on to slide number 13 now. Now, this slide 13, which is life lesson number 12, when we don't react negatively, we will have much more peace mentally. Now, today you find a lot of trouble all around us, among young people, as well as among adults and leaders of countries. They are following that sort of a stupid type of teaching of the caveman or maybe jungle. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That means you say something not so good about me, I will react, I will give it back to you. So ding dong lah. You say something, you say, oh, not nice, this will hit back, and this will hit back again, just like you can see. So you have wars, you have conflict. The Buddha already said very clearly, right? Hatred is not overcome by hatred. Hatred is overcome by love. But today, how many are practicing? Right? You find it's more kiasu type, and then having that revengeful spirit. Even movies also, you find even after the flood dies, it becomes a ghost. I want to take revenge. The ghost also has that type of thinking. So it goes on and on. The suffering never ends. Whereas if you don't react, right, you are more tolerant and patient. If the fellow is saying something terrible about you, right? Or shouting at you, or using wrong speech, rough speech, and so on, who is getting the bad karma? That fellow is getting the bad karma, isn't it? Because when he does all those things, his mind is in a terrible state. But you maintain that peacefulness, that calmness. If you want, you can try to explain to him in a very, very peaceful way, not angry. If he doesn't want to accept, then you know what to do. So you don't react. If you go and argue again, quarrel, then what happens? Words will then later on turn into action, like using weapons or sticks and so on. That's why today you see so much violence and aggression and more suffering. So always remember this. Don't just react, right? Embrace the things peacefully. And then if you need to explain. If the person cannot accept, then why should you let another person's words or actions disturb your mental peace? And you get angry also, you generate again bad karma. Isn't that terrible? So it's sort of training you have. So this way you will be more peaceful, definitely. So that's a very important point, right? These are animated cartoon image. You find shows this very clearly. Now, let us now move to number 14. About two mental defilements, the unwholesome qualities, and that is greed and anger. Actually, there are three mental poisons are very important: greed, hatred, connected with anger, and delusion. Greed, hatred, delusion. But now we focus on these two very common ones, greed and anger. A person that is very, very greedy, covetous, right? Always wanting things, always selfish, thinking of himself. And then you know what? Because of the greed, they can do terrible, unwholesome things. Cheating, and then stealing, robbing. And now you have so much of scams, con men around, all those things. Why? Greed for money. And then when you have that greed, you read the paper, so many cases, even among politicians, you have scandals, corruption. Why? Basic point is greed. The devil of greed has overcome these people. And you think these people will be happy, truly happy. They may get a lot of money in the crooked way, and they can buy maybe hundreds of watches or shoes or handbags and so on. But they are not really truly happy. They're still wanting more and more. And probably at night also, sometimes many will not be able to sleep peacefully. And then later on can be charged because of corrupted ways. So imagine, can the mind be peaceful? Every time having to go to court and being forced to say things and then they'll try to blow up the way and so on. And then being questioned by the lawyers and all these things. So there's no mental peace, can't sleep peacefully. A simple farmer, honest, earn the living, everything, not greedy. He just earn to support the family and so on. He can sleep every night peacefully. And then also now today, because of impatience, restlessness, and so on, and delusion, and then it's also connected, greedy, I cannot get it, you get angry. So when anger controls the mind, then a lot of unwholesome things can come. You can say bad words, you can blame people, you shout at people, and then also you can slap another one, fight and so on. And today you see all this happening. So the scriptures is saying, if a person conquered by these devils of greed and anger, not only will he suffer this life, he will suffer in future lives because of the mental states. So these mental states will drive them to mental health. So they can be reborn in the suffering states of hell, animals, or ghosts. So you can see so much suffering. So when we know these life lessons of wisdom, then we will try to avoid these sort of things. So that's why it's stated here, with these defilements, like the mental poisons like that, with these mental poisons, you will have disease. You see the word disease is not disease. Disease means not being at ease. The mind is disturbed. The mind cannot have peace, cannot sleep peacefully. Disease. Actually, you have cases, so if you read the play by Shakespeare, Macbeth, how Lady Macbeth, because of something wrong that she had done, she sort of together with the husband are responsible for murdering the king, who was a good king, King Duncan. Then later on, what happens? Not long later, she developed that mental disease, and night couldn't sleep. And then, wow, the mind already gone haywire already. Felt the guilt in the conscience and so on. Became like virtually mad already. So is that a good thing? So when you do the wrong things, you get the terrible results that will make you regret and you suffer. So remember this teaching. Now let's go on to number 15. That is 15. The greatest gifts are intangible things. Now, intangible means things which are not the material things that you can touch, you can see, you can taste, right? Those are that you can say invisible things, right? Right? You cannot see with your eyes, cannot hear those things talking one, or you cannot taste it one, right? Many people think, oh, the greatest gift will be if I have a car, a tangible thing, something that you can see, you can feel. I will be very happy, the greatest gift, if you get a fantastic, expensive pair of dress or pair of shoes, Reebok, Nike, or Adidas. Or I'll be happy if I am able to eat the very expensive food in the restaurants or what tangible things. They think that these are the most important things. And some people may think, oh, this will be the best gifts. The gift, material things, so they want material things only. But those things are not the greatest gifts because they don't last. After you have been given a gift of something to eat, then after that, you will turn into pieces of shit. Then after that, you want another thing again. If you are given maybe a very beautiful pair of jeans or shirt, after some time, not nice already, you want again. So it doesn't end. You have in fact more craving for more and more material things. Those give momentary or temporary pleasures. The greatest gifts cannot be seen one, like for example, love, kindness, right? Compassion, wisdom. So if you are able to give a person this metta and compassion, you will remember you better than the Kentucky lunch you gave him. You might forget already. But your caring nature, your concern, your metta, this will remember. So this is the greatest gift. And of course, in the Buddhist scripture, the Buddha, they say, the greatest of all gifts is the gift of Dhamma. Because when you give Dhamma, that means the teachings of the Buddha, or you can say the real truths, things as they truly are, then that person becomes wiser, isn't he? He can see things better, he's more peaceful, he can cope with all the problems, and he brings this gift of the Dhamma from life to life with him. It doesn't end in this life like some of the tangible gifts that you get. So these invisible things, Dhamma, right? Or kindness, compassion, they really give a person meaning and give him the joy, that goes on to all beings. You can test out and see, you practice metta, you find you give metta to people, they're being kind, that person is so happy. That is the very, very truthful thing. But today, sad to say, people think the greatest gift is to have a Ferrari or maybe to have the most expensive shirt, handmade one. I don't know. So you have the wrong view of things. Now let us go on to number 16. Number 16, which is point number 15, right, is to remember true friendship. Now, you see, we have to interact with people, isn't it? We are not just an island live by themselves, but we are a very, very high level, spiritual level. Then they live in seclusion. They prefer to be alone. That is very high level already, right? Like the Buddha, right? he strove 6 years alone. Then also when he preached and so on, he would also find time to be alone. You know. But anyway, we are talking about this important thing of true friendship. True friends are priceless. You know, you cannot tag a price to a true friend. And these true friends, they help us to walk the path to happiness. You know, they help us to walk the path to happiness. And in Buddhist term, you have the term spiritual friend, which is Kalyana Mitta. And these friends are a treasure. You must really cherish and value them. But today, you have to be careful. They are your friends when you have a lot of money or you have fame or you have power. The moment you lose your money, you become poor or you are not popular or not famous anymore. Bye-bye already. These are fair weather friends. So don't just look for this type of friends, right? So through friends, I think I have posted a few presentations on friendship, the qualities, the ABC of friendship and so on. You can check up. So remember, they are very valuable, priceless. And you want happiness, you want peace, isn't it? And I said just now, the best way is the Noble Eightfold Path. So if you are able to get a good friend that has this great compassion and wisdom, who can help you to walk that path, then cherish that type of friends. Value that type of friends and the type of friendship. It's very, very important. But today you find that people get the wrong company, worse still. These so-called friends, actually, they lead you to hell. They lure you into drinking, smoking, or smuggling drugs, and then use you. So you have to be very, very careful. The world is filled with a lot of people with greed, hatred, delusion. That's why Mara is it's not really the real devil. It's just a personification of the evil, that drives a person to do unwholesome things, and then later on will suffer. Right? So these evil forces, you have to be very, very careful. That's why we are sharing all the Dhamma. So those have the yen, will listen and grow in the Dhamma. Right? So that is slide number 16. Now we go on to number 17. Now, everybody wants happiness. Everybody wants happiness. So we want to know the what is happiness? And the how. How do we get the happiness? You see, the trained mind knows. The mind that follows the Dhamma, understands, reflects on the Dhamma, practices the Dhamma, will know what the happiness is. And one very important thing is the mind of a happy person is on the now, in the now. It doesn't act like a monkey going to the past and present. So I remember somebody once sent me a very useful life lesson or Dhamma message. I don't find in the scripture, but there is very good Dhamma. Somebody once asked, you can say ask the Buddha or ask an enlightened being, right? Doesn't matter. The thing is the message. He asked, "Oh, great enlightened one, I want happiness. How?" That's all. I want happiness. 3 words only. I want happiness. How? And then this enlightened being said, very simple. You just drop the first 2 words. That means I want happiness. Cut away the I, cut away the want. What is left? What word is left? Just happiness. It's a very, very profound type of teaching. That means if you want happiness, you must cut off this ego, this self, which actually doesn't exist actually. So you cling here, I want this, this is my thing, right? So this I, this I-ness or the selfishness, so will lead you to a lot of dukkha. You can't get happiness when your life is centered on the ego and the I, everything for myself. The truly happy people are the people who are selfless in their help. They have cut the ego, they have cut the self a lot already. And then the next thing, cut off the want. You always want things, you are greedy, we are craving for things. After that, we grasp onto the things, and then we become very, very attached to the things and the people. Then what happens? Then dukkha comes. So the cause of dukkha actually is greed. It's craving, but connected is greed. So you can say not knowing, ignorance, and then also the craving, because the ignorance, you crave the thing, and then you attach, you cling onto it, you grasp it, because I want it. The I is there, right? So you can get rid of this thing of the I. There's no I, so why I want all those things for what? Isn't it? Right? That is a very important message. So remember, the trained mind knows that happiness lies in the now. So now let us go on to the last slide already. This is the end slide I've chosen, right? I like this animated image that connotes brightness, a star with the bright. Anyway, let us remind ourselves this important thing. If we heed well lessons of wisdom mindfully, we will live much more happily and peacefully. That is something very important. To heed means to follow carefully, right? To, like, for example, in this case, listen to the advice of the enlightened ones. So if we follow very carefully and mindfully with good attention, these lessons of wisdom. The lessons of wisdom, you can say also the Dhamma teachings. When we follow very well with diligence, with mindfulness, with heedfulness, we follow the Dhamma with all these qualities, good attention, with a passion, with a diligence, being hard looking at it, right? And then with mindfulness, all these very, very good qualities. As you follow the Dhamma, then for sure your life will be much more happy and peaceful. And not only that, you are heading to the direction of enlightenment, or becoming an Arahant or a Buddha, or cutting all the suffering already to be able to reach Nibbana. So you see how important it is. And all these have the Malay translations. I use Google Translate, so there might be some inaccuracies, but generally quite okay. Malay, I can check a bit, but if it's Chinese, it's difficult, I don't know. So we have come to the end. So before we conclude, to all those who follow this presentation, the boys and girls, students, particularly secondary education and tertiary education, and also the youth members, and then the parents and grandparents who are also helping to teach the Dhamma, and all the teachers of Dhamma classes, of moral education. To all of you, I say thank you, sadhu, right, for all the great work you are doing. And before we conclude, let us say sadhu 3 times. That is now I say thank you and sadhu to all these people. Now we say sadhu to conclude the presentation. So let us put our palms together and then say sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. To all of you who have followed this presentation, may you be well, happy, peaceful, and may you heed the Dhamma lessons mindfully. Take care.